What is going on, everyone? This is MonsterMark78. So in this video, I'm going to go through how to fix your analog stick if it's sticking, or if you push down and you have to keep pulling it back up, or if it's drifting left to right, up or down, whatever it may be. So I'll say this because my other videos, most of you here because your controller's already broken. So if it ends up by being more broken at the end, somehow like your other analog stick is messed up, try not to comment and say that I broke your controller, because you're here because your controller is already broken and you're trying to fix it. So if anything does happen, like it gets worse, try going back in the controller and make sure that all the wires are pushing properly, the green chip, move the analog stick around so make sure it's not sticking properly, and then try putting your controller back on. And the weird thing is, when I do these videos, I take my controller apart to make sure that I know what I'm doing for myself and for everyone. But when I put my controller back, my analog stick actually broke to the point where it kept shooting up. So every time I pressed down, it kept going up, and it was just weird timing that I was trying to make the video and that actually happened. So how did I fix it? The exact same way that you're gonna see in this video. I took it apart, went down to the spring, make sure everything was pushed back in, put my controller on, and it worked. Just a weird coincidence how it happened. But anyway, hopefully everyone enjoys. Make sure you hit that like button, that subscribe button, hit that bell notification for more updates on videos and live streams. And if anything helped in the video or you found another way, make sure to put in the comments to help other people. Okay, so step one, we're going to be taking the 4 screws out from the back of the controller with the mini screwdriver. The 1, 2, 3, and 4. And like I said before, if you need to pause the video, go ahead if it's moving too quick. Okay, so next we're going to be opening up the controller. I always try to open it from the sides, and I kind of pop it up just like that. You might have to work around the edges. Sometimes the controller can end up by falling back in, like you're trying to do it and it keeps closing. In that case, just kind of grab something that you can keep it propped like that so it doesn't kind of close, and then you can work around the edges and pop it open. Okay, and just be careful not to pull too hard. How I explained on my other videos too with controllers, that there is a wire inside, so you don't want to be yanking too hard. Just take your time, but that big tape wire right there. So next we're going to be taking the tape wire out right here. You can use a needle nose pliers just so you can get down so you're not pulling on the tape, or you can use your fingers, just try to get really low. But little tip really quick, when you're putting this back in, make sure that you're putting it back in the same direction that it came out. So if you can see, if you look at your controller, there's like these little, I'll show you with the screwdriver, make it easier. These like little ridges, kind of right at the bottom. And then there's like the metal, the copper or the metal that's connecting. This should be facing the same way these are down here, if that makes any sense. Because if you reverse this wire the other way, instead of putting it the same way it went in or came out, your controller might not turn on, it might not charge, or whatever it may be, because that happened to me and it's happened to other people. So make sure that you know, or at least take a photo of how it looks. That way you have it saved so you know what direction that it went in or came out. That way you can put it back in the right way. So now we're going to take the battery out. So you can see the writing, how it's on the battery. And if we turn it over, it's a little different. So always try to put the battery in the same way it came out too. Will it work if it's upside down? Most likely, but always try to put things the same way you took them out. So now we're going to take the battery out by reaching down to that little white tab. Pull it out just like that. So next we're going to take this little blue tab out, or the white tab. Now you can take the black part out first and then pull the tag out. It really doesn't matter which way you do it, whatever is easier for you. But you can do it with your fingers. I like to use the needle nose pliers just like this. Reach in there and then just kind of pop it out just like that. So now we're going to take the little screw out of the plastic piece right there. So now that the blue tab is out, we can pull the chip out, but let's take this out first so it doesn't annoy us and we can put it back in later. Okay, so I'll just grab this and it pulls out just like that. And like I said, you might have a different controller the way mine looks compared to yours, but just be careful, this black the big button. This might fall out too, so I'll show you really quick how to put that in if it does fall out. So if it is out, go underneath the bar like that. Okay, and then just hook it around and snap it in. Okay. So just around and snap in, and it should lay kind of flat on there. Okay, so let's pull off one of the buttons. Really quick, if you have this one, this controller, this design, and like I said, they might be the same, they might be a little different. Just be careful of the chip, because since it's loose right now, if you kind of push down on it like that, it kind of comes out of place, so you can tell. And then the wires are like that, so it's not a big deal if it happens. You can kind of just work it or work with it like this if you want to, or just kind of put it back in there just like that. Okay, so let's take off one of the buttons just like that. It's just a plastic piece. There's nothing really special about that or how it locks or anything. So now the more detailed way, what you can do is clean these sensors right here, these green ones. You just have to pop them open. They will seem like they're difficult, which they kind of are. They're kind of stuck, but you got to end up by putting the flathead screwdriver inside and kind of pry with it, or pry it until it opens. Don't be afraid to kind of get in there a little bit. Okay, so on this one I pushed open. I pushed the flathead kind of down into it, and it cracked open, not broken. But you can push this out. Okay, so this right here you can take out too. Just like that. So you can get a Q-tip and you can clean around inside and around that area in case there's dust build up. I don't think anything's going to be messed up with this. The only thing is the spring on here, if you can see. If the coils are pushed down, you might just want to open the coils back up and lift them up so they're up. They're not pushed all the way down, so they're not flat. So once you clean that out with the Q-tip and you put this back in, do the same thing for this one and then the other side too. Now, the thing with this that people don't mention is it has to go in a certain way, or the same way at least that it came out. So don't just put it in any way. When you're pushing this back in, don't be afraid to kind of push hard, because it feels like it gets stuck, like it's not going back in, but you gotta actually put some pressure on it and snap it in. Some might be harder than others, but like I said, just take your time, hold the controller maybe like this on this side, and then kind of push with your thumb and then push it in. So now I'm gonna show you the other way, and like I said before, it might work, it might not. But when you have this issue, not so much with the drifting, but the sticking of the controller, of the analog stick, where it's sitting low inside, and you're wondering why, what I did, I try to use my common sense that if it's sitting low, especially one, the best thing to do is try to raise it up. Now, how do you do that? That doesn't make any sense. Well, this is what I did. So I got this, okay, inside where the stick goes, it slides in. I got a piece of paper and I folded it really, really tight and really, really small, and then I place it inside the hole all the way down. It's crazy. I don't even know how I thought of it, but I just did, because I thought, okay, it's sinking, let me raise it up a little bit. So the next thing would be, how big should the paper be to go in there? Because if you make it too small, then it's not going to sit high enough, and it's going to sink back down. If you make it too large, then it's just going to mess it up, and it's going to be too high and it's going to get stuck. If anything, I would say probably about this size. Okay, so maybe like the size of your fingernail. Okay, obviously not the shape of your fingernail, but maybe just about that size of your fingernail. Okay, and then fold it up really small into little pieces. Okay, and then once you get it folded up, just kind of plop it in there. And then once you put this back on the analog stick, you can kind of force it in there and kind of move it around, and that way it'll stay in place. So hopefully one of those ways worked for you. if the piece of paper one did, let me know in the comments, because that'd be interesting to hear. If the other way worked, let me know. If none of them worked and you found another solution, let me know in the comments too. So we're going to put the controller back together, and usually I speed it up a little bit, maybe times and a half or times two, to put the controller back. So just remember, you can pause the video at any time if you're confused, putting it back together and replay it.